The Ultraversity. Part 4. Wages. In a stable economic structure, which necessarily includes democratic capitalism and scientific cost accounting, all income will be from wages earned by personal effort. There will be no income from money or from any proprietary interest in any producing unit, as there will be no private proprietorship. All enterprises will be operated on the basis of what is now known as management. Managers will function as under the present system, but they will be responsible to the members of their unit and to the community instead of to private owners. Management will be in the hands of those qualified on the basis of ability and character to conduct producing enterprises. Qualification will not depend in any way upon previous ownership of more than average amounts of money, but will be determined through examinations by the genetical survey. All positions in all producing units will be determined on the basis of similarly determined qualifications. Wages will be based on the value of the contributed effort, and there will be a number of wage classifications. There will be no top limits, but there will be minimums in each classification. The lowest classification will provide adequate wages for maintaining the average-sized family in generous comfort. Higher wage classifications will be provided for skilled workers and those of special talents and abilities. There will be no unemployment, as there will be need for all available workers. Labor-saving machinery will be developed to the utmost possible extent. The amount of labor utilized in every enterprise will have to be held down to a minimum, and the highest efficiency will be required of all workers. While every effort will be made to reduce to the lowest minimum the amount of labor required in productive processes, the opportunities for individuals to enter into productive activities will be vastly increased through making capital available on the basis of ability and without the burden of interest or dividends. The amount of wages earned by individuals will depend on their own productivity and the unit with which they are associated. Wages will reach unparalleled high dollar levels because all income will be used to pay wages, and none will be used for the multitude of parasite purposes for which large portions of gross income are now diverted. The purchasing power of the dollar will be increased because there will be no competition for consumer goods from the parasite money which is now taken from wages and is then used to reduce the amount of such goods available to the consumer, thereby increasing the prices and reducing the purchasing power of the dollar. While wages will be enormously increased, they will be subjected to a direct tax which will take the place of those now collected by direct and indirect methods. There will be but one tax for all governmental and community projects, and that will be levied on all incomes on an equal percentage basis. This tax may absorb 25% of the dollar volume of income. The government will have a responsibility to see that all individuals are provided with all the requirements of life on a generous comfort level adapted to the type of individual. The vast majority will provide themselves with these requirements through earned wages. In every community, however, there are those who have been left without means of such self-support. These individuals automatically become wards of the community and will be supplied from government funds, with wages which will enable them to purchase their requirements. Every individual starts life in a non-productive state. At an average age of 20, he can enter the productive stage, and under the present longevity he can figure on a productive period of 30 to 40 years. And this may be followed by a non-productive period. At the present time, the individual is expected to provide for this non-productive period by saving a portion of his earnings during the productive period. It would be cheaper and more efficient to take care of this latter non-productive period on a mass basis when and as it occurs. This can be done by making the community bear the cost as a current expense and to meet this expense out of the tax raised. This provides direct, safe, sound, and adequate as well as dignified Social Security. The recently instituted Social Security plan, with its huge interest-earning reserve fund, is operating to hasten the destruction of the economic structure, and is therefore destroying that which it is supposed to protect. If a man saves 10% of his income during his productive period, he can use this to support himself and family during his later non-productive years. If, however, community provisions are made to pay an adequate salary to all workers during their non-productive years, at a total cost of a 10% tax on his and all other earned incomes, the cost to him is exactly the same. As a matter of fact, the latter method is far more efficient, since the present savings bank, insurance, etc. thrift methods are an economic, money-doubling device that raise prices and reduce the purchasing power of the dollar. Wages will be fixed in terms of dollars on an annual basis, adequate leisure will be provided out of each year, and a 5-day working week will probably be found entirely adequate to meet production needs. The value of wages will, therefore, depend entirely on the productivity of the economic structure. Every worker will carry a responsibility to all other workers to make his efforts as productive as possible. The benefits of labor-saving machinery and mass production methods will go directly to the workers in the form of increased wages and reduced costs of goods instead of corporations, as is done at the present time. All wages will be reckoned in multiples of the lowest wage unit, which will be stated in terms of the dollar. All costs will be reckoned in this fundamental wage unit. Costs are exactly equal to sales prices. Wages and costs are directly linked through this unit, and production and consumption of the whole system must remain in balance. This provides a thoroughly stable economic system. It will be impossible to transmit money from one generation to the next. All moneys of which a man dies possessed will revert to the community, and the community will immediately assume the burden of supportive dependence by paying the monies necessary to continue living on the accustomed scale. This eliminates the necessity for building up estates. No one need have the slightest fear of a destitute old age, and no one will have relatives thrust upon him for support. No one will start out with the power of money received from a previous generation, which gives the holder economic power to enslave others not so provided. There will be no need of such transmitted capital, as under democratic capitalism all necessary capital will be made available on the basis of individual ability to utilize it.